Hi, John the Van Guy, living the dream. Now, what's we doing? Yes, I thought I'd go over a summary of what's been happening here as regards to Talbot Express and removing the screen to put a new rubber on. I thought I'd go through some of the stages, if I can remember them all. I've done a few little videos which might help, but I thought I'd do a kind of summary and save me putting all these little videos on and show you what I've done so far. I'll try and remember all the all the tips and tricks involved, which may help someone in this situation. Right, okay. So usually the necessity to take the screen out is as a result of rust on the scuttle. This is common on these things. And the rust on the scuttle, you can either put a new scuttle in, which is a pain in itself. I've never actually done that. But often you can actually get around the issue by simply, here we have the scuttle. And this is actually, I've cleaned this all up and put pieces in, what we'll talk about in a minute. Usually what happens, they tend to all go around here. You'll see on these older vans. What I've actually done in the past is using templates, and because you actually can't weld when the screen's in, because you damage the screen, or the danger is that you crack the screen. Use a good polyurethane glue. Scuttle 40FC is a good polyurethane to use. And what you do is you clean up everything, treat all the rust, cut out as much rust as you can, make cardboard templates, do it in strips, don't try and do too many bends. Using a nibbler, I've got a nice Chinese nibbler, cuts up to 4mm, it's very easy and a good way to cut the steel. And you can use, for this sort of stuff, you only need 0.8, 1mm steel, which you can pick up at car parts places, usually sell sheets. Or you can actually, a good way is to go to a trading estate, and where they've got any metal fabricator places, they will sell you sheets, probably cheaper, and you can get different thicknesses. Right, okay, so we're using thin steel. Cut the strips, use your polyurethane glue, put them in place, and then weld in. Now, to hold them down, what I've done in the past is drilled a few holes, different methods, drilled a few holes. You can pot rivet in, and then grind the pot rivets off. Once the glue is set, you leave about 24 hours. Once the glue is set, 24 hours, glue in, and then you can go over with U-Pol and clean the whole thing up, angle grind it down. Use a flap disc, it's quite nice to do. Rub it all down with sandpaper, whatever you need to use. Put in all the lines back in, carve them all in if you need to, and you can make it look quite good. Right, okay, so that's a cheaper way of doing it. The other way is if you've got substantial rust, which I had on this vehicle, was to take the screen out. I hadn't done one before, and looked on many sites to see which is the best option. Now, because it's an old vehicle, you'll find that it's probably not polyurethaned in. It might be a little bit, but on the modern vehicles, they're all polyurethaned in, so you need some sort of steel wire to actually pull all the way around to actually break that, and that's a bit of a pig. But this should be relatively straightforward, and it was. Now, I'll show you what I did briefly. You've got the rubber all going all the way around, would be in place. Now, that rubber was coming away, so I was able to pull the rubber off. It came off quite nicely, actually. I was quite surprised. And then what you need is, to go on the inside, you need a tool, plastic tool. Now, these plastic tools, or trim removers, you get a pack of them, well worth getting, invaluable, in fact, for this sort of thing. You don't want to be using metal, and you don't want to, when you're pushing on the screen, don't use a fist, or just use your palm of your hand pushing the screen. It's obviously fragile. So now what I did was, once I had taken all the rubber off and using a Stanley knife to get the difficult bits out, you go on the inside of the vehicle, and using a spatula, using one of those plastic spatulas, easy way around, keep the windscreen wipers in place, pushed up against the screen, and then it's not going to fall forward. It might slip down, which is exactly what happened. I was quite pleased, really. I was able to get the whole thing out. It slipped down a little bit. Ideally, if you've got another person there, that's quite good. And then it just ease it out, take the window off from the side. So what do you do then? Well, you need a rubber, so you can buy a rubber online for about £48. The rubber has grooves in it, and you'll see they're quite obvious. Now, I'm taking you inside the house. I'll show you where I've got the screen and the rubber on. Right, there you go. There's the screen and the rubber. Now, they say when you get the rubber, according to the sites, a good thing to do is keep the rubber in the sun or something to just make it more manual, get it out of the bag, get it warm. It makes it a little bit more manual. You need to obviously clean up the screen best you can, to clean up the edges where the rubber's going, but you don't need actually anything on there to help you get the rubber on at this stage. You want the best adhesion you can get, so you just put the rubber on. I started at one end and worked my way around. And so the rubber went on. The idea then apparently is to leave it on the screen for as long as you can, hours, days even, so it kind of molds to the screen, if you like. So that's kind of ready to go back on. Now, the question is then, how do you get the screen back on? Well, ideally you need another person. If you've got another person, ideally you've got to prepare the trim. That's the edging on the van itself. The edging on the van itself can't have any nicks or rusty bits in. The rubber's got to slide on nicely. So that's the next thing. And then I forgot, and I've prepared this already. It was gone in 5 different places really badly. And as I mentioned the technique before of, actually it was all down here. There was gone, under there was gone. Now I've already patched up. Needs tidying up a little bit, but it's a lot better than it was. A lot better than it was. So what you do is you make cardboard templates of the bits, cut out your metal strips, as you would do when you, as I mentioned before, when you're doing a polyurethane approach, but this is going to be a welding approach, which you can use because you haven't got the window here now. So, and then do it in strips. It's too hard to make shapes. You can do it to a point, but it's more difficult that way. What I do is do it in strips and then weld the strips onto spot weld. You don't have to get super welds in. Grind down the welds a little bit, only a few spot welds, you don't have to do the whole thing, and then go in with your U-pole and then tidy up accordingly. This all needs tidying up obviously, but it's better than it was. Now you should be able to route your fingers all the way around nicely. Now at the top I've got a problem here, see that? What I'm going to do is, there's various approaches to that. I could put a flattened copper pipe behind, because you can't weld to copper. You can use that as a base and then weld up against the copper. You could do that, but it's a rather large piece. I might do that for that bit, but what I'll do, I'll cut out with an angle grinder, I'll cut out probably a rectangular piece and put a few spot welds of metal in there and then grind down to get it nice and smooth. So that's a nice smooth edge. So it's taking all the rust out, treating what rust you can see. So this side is going to be okay. This side's going to be okay. Okay. Right, so that's where we are. Okay, now the next two is the trick of getting the frame or the rubber back on the frame. Now the trick is to use a rope, and I've got it somewhere. Where did I put the thing? John, where did you put the thing? Well, it's a nylon 6mm rope I've actually got. I currently can't find it, which you can actually buy online. Where is it? I don't know. Anyway, it's there it is. I hope that's going to be okay. They used it on this site called Truckers, I think they called it. They're doing an old Chevrolet. Then what you do is, the trick is to put insert the rope into the groove that actually is going on this lip. So into the groove all the way around, work it the way around so the two protruding ends overlap at the bottom, and protrude into the cab. So when you actually put the glass on there, and ideally you've got another person, but if you haven't, well, I haven't, but if you have, it's very handy. Now the idea is to try and feed the groove or the rubber onto the lip as much as you can, and then by patting the rubber, patting the glass on this side. Again, you only pat with your hand, push on as best as you can. Now actually to get the lip of the rubber over, or the edge of the rubber over this lip, which is what the whole process is designed to do, you actually start pulling out these overlapping bits of rope which will be protruding out there. Now if you pull them, first one, then the other, and pull the lip, you see the lip going over this edge, come out again to see that the outside lip is okay, and the idea is to work it. Again, for this particular part of the exercise, you can use soapy water, silicone, window cleaner, anything to actually help with the whole process, and you can slip it all the way around. Now another dimension to this is, do you put sealer in? Well, there are various types of sealer, polyurethane sealers. Now the cheaper polyurethane sealers apparently are not so good in the sense they set quite hard, but the more expensive ones remain sort of flexible. So, if removal is necessary later on, then you can do that. So obviously it's worth spending a little bit more on getting a good sealer. Now, I saw on one site, there's various approaches. If you're going to use sealer, there's various approaches. One is to, where the rope goes into that channel, to put it all in that channel and then feed the rope inside as well. Another one I saw on this particular site, and this a window guy who does this for a living, he suggested, or he saw them doing a technique which he thought was quite good, which basically was to put a bead of polyurethane, of the sealant, all the way around before you actually put the screen on. And so you get like a seal. Now I've got the actual sealer somewhere. Can I find it for you? Can I find to show you? Always something missing, isn't there? What have I done with it? Let me have a quick look. Maybe did I take it in the house? Let's have a look and see if I take it in the house. Because I've got quite a reasonable quality one, apparently. At least one that was suggested. Remains to be seen if it's a good quality one or not. Damnation. Oh, did I bring it in here? No, I didn't. Yeah. Oh! Where did you go to, my lovely? Where do you go to, my lovely? When you're alone in your bed, I like to look inside your head. Yes, I would. Yes, I would. Can't find it. What have you done with it, John? What have you done with it? I don't believe this. I'm sorry, guys. I can't find the particular one recommended. Bear with me. I was looking at it before and it can't have gone very far. So let's go in the cab. Oh, here it is. Yo-ho-ho-ho-ho. Yo-ho-ho-ho. Airbow-mast auto-grade windscreen sealing compound. So that's the one. There you go, found it. So I hope all this helps. I'll let you know how I get on. Quite an experience, actually, a challenge. So that's today's fun. Thanks.